My 28 male, wife 32 female, keeps throwing divorce in my face over everything. I just agreed and left. I'm currently staying with my sister. My wife and I have been together for 5 years, married for 4. We've known each other for years prior. We have 1 kid together who is 4, and I am the primary breadwinner in the house as she is a stay-at-home mom. It was her choice not to go back to work. For the last year and a half, we have been having arguments about 1 to 2 times a month. To be clear, I do help out with our daughter. I clean, cook, and I'm involved with both of them. The first time she said she wanted a divorce was when we got into an argument when my sister called and asked if she could stay with us for a bit as she was having relationship problems, which is ironic now. I said she could, and my wife was not happy about that. I pointed out that her friend stayed with us a couple of months prior for 5 weeks and didn't do anything around the house. Plus, she was just there. No discussion, no nothing. She was a stranger to me and my daughter, while my sister is lovely and has a great relationship with our daughter, and I thought my wife was as well. She ended up staying with us for a week, helping out around the house, cooking, cleaning, and watching our daughter when needed. I thought we both forgave each other and moved on. The fights are usually over something small. 90% are not started by me. I have suggested therapy and counseling, but she always said we never needed it. Well, I had it last night. She picked a fight saying I was spending too much time at work, and that she feels abandoned, and that I'm not a good father, then ended her rant with I want a divorce. I stood up and told her that the only reason I work so much is because she can't stop spending our money on things we don't need or use. She refused to get a job or go to school to help her out. I provide for the family, for my daughter. I'm always at her important dates, functions, doctor's appointments, anything she needs, while she refused to get help through therapy or counseling. I don't want this anymore, so I'll have my lawyer send her the papers when she writes it up. I got my daughter's things and left with her to my sister's. It has been 2 days now and she keeps calling and texting saying she is sorry, that she didn't mean it. She wants to go to counseling and therapy. She needs me, she misses me, etc. I don't know what to do. I love her. She is a good mother, but I can't do this anymore. Internet strangers, please help. Yes, I have a lawyer for my family to work, and I have known her since I was a teen. Now for the top advice. This is still only a snippet of your life. You still know your wife and life better than we do. Make the best decision for your daughter. That's all you can do. Toxic parents are the freaking worst, especially when they can't get over their BS for their kids' sake. You got this, King. Always put your daughter first. I agree with all of this besides putting your daughter first. I'm a mother, so let me explain. Put you first, and here is why. If you're in no type of mental condition to provide the best care for your daughter, because your wife is a stressor so she makes you stressed, then it falls on the daughter, either inadvertently or sometimes otherwise. What good would he be to himself or his daughter if he's unhappy and stressed? We as parents are always told to put our kids first, but our kids count on us to provide what they need. How good are we to them if we are unhappy? Put you first, while taking your daughter into consideration second. Either way, it seems that you both will be there for your daughter, so she will be good. But think about whether you want to spend the rest of your life with someone who doesn't even consider her own mental health, albeit yours, when y'all get into squabbles. Also, the top comment is right. This only is one portion of your life. We don't know the rest of the details. So again, do what's best for you, and the rest will follow either way. This is a very solid point. I don't think Opie has done anything wrong, but honestly, his wife's behavior is of someone who is lacking internal stimulation. If she had a job or a proper routine outside of the house, maybe she wouldn't be picking fights over everything and anything. My partner got injured last year for 3 months. The fact that he couldn't go on runs and swimming sessions with his friends made him so unbearable. Same for me when I took the work from home option to the extreme and became a bit annoying too. Thankfully, none of us called for divorce nor offended each other. I gently told my partner that it was clear that he needed his time with his friends, and he gently told me that I needed to go more to the office to change my routine. Staying in a comfort zone can be dangerous if we are never challenged. I had the exact same situation. After the 500th time of her saying we should get a divorce, I finally agreed. Of course, her version of the story later was that I left her, but even that wasn't worth arguing over. My best advice is that even after divorce, you will need to work things out with her on things regarding your daughter. So don't do anything mean or spiteful during the process. Wait a while to see other people after you move out, or she will assume you are cheating on her with any new person. You can't make other people happy. She needs to be responsible for her own happiness. Don't be angry. Just say, I love you and I want you to be happy. But it's clear I can't do that. So you're right, that we're better off getting a divorce. And then don't waver on that decision. If you don't mind, I might end up saying something similar to that. People that say things are fine and refuse counseling while blaming all the problems on the other spouse, then promise wild changes to stop the divorce, aren't to be trusted. They're perfectly content being taken care of and having no responsibility for their own happiness. They make promises to keep you from changing and then go back to what is comfortable and easy for them. Right now, your stay-at-home wife's whole world is upended. She's losing her comfortable home, will need to share custody of the child she had 100% of the time. She's going to have to support herself. I'm not a lawyer, but where I live, alimony payments aren't for life. They're often just half the duration of the marriage. The courts will see she's young and capable of having a career still. Child support payment are until the child is 18 at a percentage of your income and how much custody you have. So she knows she messed up. My advice is that you go through with the divorce, even if you love her, and consider going back after you've seen her change. She gets a job, she gets therapy. Next story. I left my husband the day after our youngest moved out. He says I've deceived him all these years. My female 49 husband, male 51, cheated on me. It was 10 years ago when I got a call from school saying that our youngest, then 9, was sick and needed to go home. When we arrived, I heard them in our bedroom. I panicked, made loud noises to let them know they weren't alone and that our daughter was with me. I'm crying just writing this. I still cry whenever I remember that day. The first year after that was the hardest on me. I felt so insignificant and inadequate, ugly and undesirable. We started therapy and my husband promised to do anything to make it work again. We moved apartments and bought new furniture, and I started a new habit of changing the sheets every night before bed. But all of this wasn't as effective as that one morning when I woke up and realized that I wasn't in love with my husband anymore. After this realization, everything seemed easier moving forward. I saw him as a roommate and a great support raising the children, a good friend. We love our children and we wanted the best for them. And for these next 10 years, we hardly ever fought. And we raised 3 beautiful, happy, and successful young people. When I realized that I didn't love him anymore, I also stopped caring what if he did it again. It was one of my nightmares in the beginning, but I didn't care anymore as long as I slept in clean sheets every night. Around Christmas, our youngest daughter, who is now 19, got her first contract for her own apartment. And that's when I knew that I was free. I also set in motion my plans of moving out and getting my divorce. I found myself an apartment too, and I thought my husband could live in our apartment until we settled everything up. But when I told him and handed him the divorce papers, he was in shock. And when I moved out the day after my daughter on April 2, he was even more shocked and distraught. Now he is telling me that I have deceived him all these years, acting like I was fine when I wasn't, while he lived in regrets every day for how he hurt me. That I am cold and calculated and vindictive. I don't recognize any of these accusations. I don't see things that way. I saw it as me, and him of course, doing the best with what I was dealt to make a happy and content life for our children. Our whole family really. And I think that I succeeded. What more could anyone ask of me? Edit. I'm thankful that you are reaching out. I'm sorry I can't chat with all of you. I will try to answer women/men who are going/went through similar situations and I want to help. Yes, we're still intimate. It started again 2 to 3 years later. We used protection though because I wouldn't let him touch me without. I said we hardly ever fought, but if we did, it was about intimacy and the rubbers. Also, it went from 2 to 3 times a week to 2 to 3 times a year. In my mind, if he cheated when we were very intimate and active, he was probably cheating now. It bothered me less and less with years. I don't know how long they were sleeping together. I don't know who she was. I never wanted to know. I just saw her once and that was the only thing I didn't want to know in therapy. I don't know if he still slept with her or others. I just assumed he did because it was easier for me to expect the worst. I never said love you to him again. Something we used to say often before. He continued saying it. It always told me that he would wait for me to say it back. I didn't need to leave to find happiness sooner. I was happy and lucky having my children and my home. I didn't need more. But now I see no reason or happiness in staying. I never did what I did to get back at him or to get revenge. My children know I have left. They are sad, but my reason was good enough. I was out of love with him. They don't know the details and we are keeping it this way. They don't need to know anything. No, I don't change my beddings every night now. I have no need. Acting like I was fine when I wasn't. Meanwhile, she changes the bedsheet every night and cannot be intimate without protection. Dude has no concept of what fine looks like. I never again told him I love you in 10 years. Not once. I'm not sure how we didn't come to the conclusion that she was checked out. I think I'd noticed something was up after less than a week. Way too many men interpret checked out as everything is fine. Because when most women check out, they stop fighting since they just don't care anymore. Men think no fighting means the problem is solved. This is what happened to me. My ex punched me in the face, and I checked out for 2 years until I had saved enough money to leave. He thought we were doing good because we didn't fight anymore. You didn't deceive him. You have been fine all these years. You just never told him why, and he clearly never asked. This is the most telling thing. He never noticed how disengaged she became. You generally don't behave the same with a roommate as you do a partner, and intimacy can be just that. It doesn't have to have the deep meaning it can have between two lovers. I say they went to therapy, but I'm not sure it was a good therapist, or if the ex-husband really put in the work. And he apparently thought her changing the sheets every night after he cheated was a normal behavior, and didn't at all indicate that she still didn't trust him. Your husband has some audacity blaming you for deceiving him. He was cheating on you in your own home. He was living in guilt because of his own actions. If this was me, I wouldn't care about what he says about this. I wouldn't really even bother giving an explanation. Last story. I feel betrayed by my soon-to-be ex-husband and his new girlfriend. Yesterday at my 35-week prenatal appointment, my soon-to-be ex-husband let me know that he's dating a new chick. To be honest, I felt nothing of the knowledge that he is dating someone new, because this is the reason we are separated, and it has taken me a while to break the feelings I have for this man. Now, what pisses me off is this fool telling me that girlfriend is wanting to be part of my baby's life, and that she wants to meet me blah blah blah. Which I politely put up boundaries and shut down her being involved in our kid's life until they have a more serious relationship. He tells me she lives in a different state and other inconsequential bull that I really didn't want to know, but whatever. Also, he swore me to secrecy about this, and that he doesn't want his family to find out about this girl, because my ex-mother-in-law still blames his infidelity on his anti-depression medication, and that my baby would need its parents together, and that we need to work in our marriage. Even though I recently found out that my ex-brother-in-law, mother-in-law's oldest son, cheated on his wife, and that my mother-in-law is all for them getting divorced, and that she wants sister-in-law to get everything. Well, here's the betrayal. This girl not only lives in our town, but works at my job and has been for months. She knows me and had met me on a few occasions, and I feel super violated. This man lied to me about this girl and thinks it's okay. When I got upset about finding out the truth, he made me feel like I'm crazy, and that his girlfriend didn't want the drama. WTF. I feel like my place of work had been invaded, and that them keeping this secret for so long is so deceitful. I'm about to have this man's baby. We are separated. We have only been separated for 6 freaking months. How is any of this real right now? I feel like I'm about to walk on stage of Jerry Springer and deal with crazy girlfriend drama. I know people deal with worse, but damn, why me? Why can he move on while I'm here, a human incubator who he beat down emotionally for 5 years, and he can move on to someone else and then not warn me that that person invaded my place of work and neither had a boss to say a word? I don't care if he has a girlfriend. I was supportive when he told me, but for some reason, the lying and her being part of my workplace caused me so much distress. Now for the comments. Honestly, it sounds like your ex-mother-in-law knows how bad her son is and doesn't want to have to take him back on because you guys are splitting. That's what happened with my parents. My grandmother knew how her son was and got mad that my mom kicked him out. She was so resentful that she stopped checking in on me and my brother. My ex is a difficult man to deal with, but his family has a lot of control and influence on him, and it caused a lot of issues in our relationship. They would make input in our life, and he would put the family opinion in higher regard than mine. The cheating was really the last straw. My ex had a lot of other issues that I just ignored. Sounds like it is a very good thing you got out. Yeah, I can agree. But unfortunately, I will have to share a child with these people. I also am still grieving a 6-year relationship. But at the end of the day, the bad outweighs the good. No idea why mother-in-law is going in this direction when she went the other way for her other daughter-in-law. If your soon-to-be ex is particularly challenging to live with, it may have something to do with not wanting him to come home to her. You just take care of you and your soon-to-be arriving baby. Don't worry about them. I hope you have friends and family who are supportive around you. Jesus, it really says something about the character of their mother if both sons cheated on their long-term partners. I am assuming the sister-in-law doesn't have kids, and by traditional standards, it is easier to support her leaving her other son than it is to support you since she likely holds the ideals that a kid should have two parents, as if marriage changes that. Put mother-in-law in timeout and explain she can either support you or get lost. Sister-in-law has 4 children with brother-in-law. I agree that she deserves all his worth because he's a POS. But my issue is that I was being basically pushed to reconcile, and she was basically given permission. Unfortunately, they only care about image, and to this day, it's not public knowledge about either of her sons' divorces based on the info I have been given. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife's kid sister I never liked her? I'm 30, my wife is 34, and her sister Alexa is 19. We got married 2 years ago, but we've known each other for a long time. My wife's parents live abroad and they have a business there. And 11 to 12 years ago, they sent Alexa to the US to live with my wife and get her education. My wife is basically her only parent and she does everything for Alexa. I'll be honest, Alexa is a brat who honestly gets on my nerves. It's like she exists to make my wife's life miserable. She's arrogant, rude, entitled, nasty. She constantly broke rules, and none of her teachers ever liked her. She also refused therapy. I'm amazed at the patience and kindness my wife has, because the girl was a nightmare. The second Alexa went to college, we got married. She came home for Thanksgiving, probably skipping classes, and came to me this weekend and confessed her feelings. Apparently, I treated her so much better than my wife when she was growing up. I tried to be nice to her just because she's my wife's sister. I do things like take her out once in a while to give my wife, then girlfriend, a break. When my wife would try to tutor Alexa and she wouldn't even do her work and fail half her classes, I told her to let it go. I lost it and told her I don't like her. I never liked her. And I was only nice to her because it would make my wife happy. I told her I only put up with her spoiled self to be with my wife, and I was annoyed whenever she intruded. Alexa started sobbing and ran out. I told my wife everything, and she said I was right to turn her down but didn't have to be so harsh, though she thanked me for being honest. Her parents are furious, and I've gotten a bunch of weird text messages from what I suspect are Alexa's friends. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I would never do anything because Alexa's literally a kid I've seen grow up. It would be disgusting and immoral. I would have shut her down either way, but I'm asking if I'm the a-hole for revealing how I really feel about that brat. Not the a-hole. Don't be alone with her ever again. Her words against yours. Red flags. This and WTF. Alexa has the hots for OP? I must have missed that totally until I read through the comments. OP, it might be useful to spell this out in your post for dense people like me. But wow. Yes, please keep far away. She's trouble you don't need in your life. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. She's an adult and needs a reality check for her past behavior. The problem isn't what you did, is that no one did it before. Her parents have no right to be upset, since they passed off the job of parenting to your wife. To be clear, my wife would always take her out on these things, and give her money for concert tickets and drive her places. Yeah. Protect yourself and never be alone with her. I'm sure she feels like her parents threw her away for being the problem child, and she resents her older sister for having everything she doesn't, as in parents that didn't dump her, a successful career I assume, and a loving husband, mostly the first thing. I don't at all doubt that she'll shift the negative energy she had against you now and potentially try to break the two of you up or ruin your life with lies. She needs therapy badly, like really badly. Not the a-hole, but what in the world is going on? Your wife thinks you were too harsh in turning down her sister's attempt to ruin your marriage? Were you supposed to just pull a Gabby from Desperate Housewives and say, "That's negatory on the affair," with a smile on your face? My wife's always had a weak spot for Alexa. Alexa is a cross between her baby sister and her first child. Meanwhile, Alexa clearly views your wife in the same way a parasite views its host. Your wife needs therapy to figure out why even when Alexa tried to steal her husband, she still advocated for Alexa instead of herself. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother and sister-in-law that, for crying out loud, my nephew is not special and is an overgrown child? My parents had me, 36 female, when Mike, 53 male, was a teenager, and Mike had Logan at 22, so I'm closer in age to my nephew, 31 male. My brother Mike and his wife, 52 female, Chloe, believe that the world should revolve around their son Logan, and that anyone who thinks differently is wrong and doesn't realize how special Logan is. Logan, Mike, and Chloe tell people that Logan does freelance for a living, which is code for Logan being unemployed, playing video games, and generally living like a teenager off school. Mike and Chloe handle all of Logan's adult responsibilities. They send him money every month so Logan can pay rent and have fun. Chloe will cook most of Logan's meals and drop them off at his house. She will do and drop off all his laundry as well. Mike and Chloe tried getting me to fork over money for a Vegas vacation because I had just taken a trip to Fort Lauderdale, and it's not fair that Logan doesn't get to go on vacation as well. I told them, hell no, because Logan's a 30-year-old man, and I'm not going to pay for his vacation. Mike and Chloe told me how selfish and awful I was toward my own nephew. Mike and Chloe also expect other family members to cater to Logan this way, and react the same way if someone else isn't revolving their life around Logan. Naturally, our relationship is very strained. We keep our interactions very superficial, and we don't see each other unless we're all at a family event. A few days ago, we were at a baby shower for Mike and I's cousin. Mike and Chloe came up to me just to criticize me over the fact that I attended Logan's ex-fiancée Alexia's hooting ceremony. Some background information is that Alexia was given a list of marriage demands from Mike and Chloe. They expected Alexia to provide 3 meals a day and do all the chores while still working full-time. Logan had told Alexia that he was completely supporting himself through his freelance work. And Alexia didn't know until then that Mike and Chloe were sending him money every month and handling all his responsibilities, as Logan always insisted on going to her house. Alexia noped out of the relationship, and Alexia and I are still friends. I told Mike and Chloe that I'm an adult and I'm allowed to be friends with whomever I want. They started to raise their voices and said I'm disrespecting them by speaking with Alexia after she abandoned Logan and can't see how great he is. I told them that, for crying out loud, Logan isn't special. He's an overgrown child. They may have deluded themselves, but stop being mad that nobody else is enabling their fantasy. Family members are divided on what I said. Some are agreeing with what I said because they're tired of Mike and Chloe's demands that everyone's life must revolve around Logan, and it had to be said. But others are saying that it was supposed to be a nice family event, and even if I don't mean it, I could have just said sorry instead of causing drama. Am I the a-hole? Info. This was a baby shower for your cousin. What does your cousin say? If cousin thinks you did wrong, apologize to cousin and to the other family members, but not to Mike and Chloe. Because after all, it is true that you could have just held your tongue and let Mike and Chloe make fool of themselves without participating yourself in ruining a family occasion. Easier said than done, I know. Our cousin is one of the people who agreed with me. She's also sick and tired of Mike and Chloe's demands regarding Logan. I think the fact that Mike and Chloe approached the OP to criticize her friendship with Logan's ex gave her a bit more leeway. Even if Logan had a diagnosis of developmental delay or whatever, the goal would still be to encourage him to be independent as possible. This will eventually get old, and they will get tired of caring for their adult-aged little kid. It will be a rude awakening for everyone, not the a-hole. Or they will continue on until they die and leave their middle-aged or older little boy who is completely unable to function in the world. Sounds like my 35-year-old cousin. Mommy walks him home from work every day because some little kids pointed at him 3 years ago. He isn't allowed to leave the room with his phone, and Daddy takes it away at 9 p.m. every night. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not helping my sister with her wedding because I'm not in the bridal party? My sister and I aren't best friends, but we have a pretty good relationship. Good enough that when she got engaged, I assumed that I would either be a maid of honor or at least a bridesmaid. She ended up not asking me despite having a bridal party of 10, but I didn't say anything even though I was a little hurt. I totally get that it's her wedding and that I'm not entitled to be in her wedding party and eventually got over it. A little afterwards, my best friend got engaged and asked me to be maid of honor, and I happily dived into the responsibility, and it's been a lot of fun for the both of us. I've already been able to plan and execute a lot that has both made experience fun for my friend and also a lot less stressful. On to the issue. My sister's maid of honor honestly dropped the ball. I know I'm going to be biased, but I've received complaints from family members and other friends. She hasn't put any effort into helping my sister with her wedding, didn't plan anything, never responds to my sister's messages, and just generally isn't interested at all. None of my sister's other bridesmaids are stepping up either, though they all have a reason for why they can't spend more time on my sister's wedding. So, my sister recently approached me to plan everything for her. Bridal shower, bachelorette, and the actual wedding. She wants me to give her the same experience I've given my friend. I was a little offended because she only asked me after she saw what a great job I did for someone else. But she's my sister, so I told her I'd be willing to help if she made me a bridesmaid. I feel like it's the least she could do, and it would make me feel less like an errand girl and really part of the wedding. She refused and said that I'd make the numbers off, and that I didn't have the look she was trying to accomplish, which really offended me. Like, at this point, I'm just angry. So I said, fine, I don't have to be part of the wedding, but then she needs to hire me as a wedding planner because I'm not doing this for free. It takes a huge time commitment to do all of this work. She went crying to mom and dad now, and they're all calling me an a-hole because I should do it as a sister. But she's basically asking me to do hours of work for free, which I feel like isn't fair. Now my family's saying that I'm ruining her special day by being selfish and making it all about me, so I'm starting to doubt myself. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Unrelated to whether you're a bridesmaid or not, that's too much work to expect, demand, or wheedle out of someone. Let her figure something else out and enjoy not having any responsibility as a guest. I would probably debate even going to the wedding based on her sister and family's behavior. What are you thinking? How could Opie skip the wedding of the golden child? Opie's not the a-hole. Notice the parents just criticized and called Opie an a-hole. Why aren't they helping the golden child do the planning? Opie's the only one that can do this? Opie, don't help and probably even skip the wedding. They are going to try to keep pulling you in. Holy entitled princess, Batman. Your sister refused to give you a spot of honor at her wedding, insulted your look, and then cried to mommy and daddy because you're not helping her? How is she even old enough to get married? No, you are not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not sacrificing time with my family so that my wife can spend time with hers? My wife and I are trying to see both of our families for Thanksgiving this year. Our plan is to go see her family on Thursday morning and afternoon, and then drive to my parents' house to spend Thursday and Friday night there. From our house, it is a 3-hour drive to my wife's Uncle Bob's house where her family's gathering. Then it is another 2-hour drive to my parents' place from there, and finally an almost 4-hour drive home on Saturday. A lot of driving, especially with 2 kids, 5 and 3. Our original plan was just to see my family, but my wife's favorite Aunt Viv and Uncle Ray are driving out of state to visit this year and just decided this a couple weeks ago. My wife hasn't seen them in almost 4 years and she's super excited. They were supposed to drive on Wednesday night, but I guess something in their plans changed, and they aren't expecting to get in until late Thursday night or possibly Friday morning. My wife is disappointed, and she now wants to change our entire plans to plan around seeing this aunt and uncle. She wants us to find a place to stay in her Bob's city so that she can spend time with her favorite Viv and Ray. Bob doesn't have space for us to stay there, because other family members are already staying with him, so it would have to be a hotel. I did a quick check when my wife mentioned her idea, and there are no rooms available for cheaper than $500 a night, unless we want to drive another hour away. She would also want to spend a majority of the day on Friday with her family and go see my parents late Friday night. I told her I don't want to sacrifice time with my family. I haven't seen my parents since 4th of July, and with my wife's plan, we would essentially sleep there Friday nights and then head home Saturday. I have to be back home on Sunday because I'm scheduled to be on call for work that day, and there's no way I can find someone to switch with me. I told my wife that if she wants to spend more time with her family, then she can drive there herself on Friday morning, and I will stay at my parents' place. I told her she can either take the kids with or I will keep them with me. Her choice. She told me that Viv and Ray haven't even met our youngest, so she would want to take the kids. But since the drive is so long, she would want my help by driving at the kids. That's why, to her, it makes sense to try and stay somewhere in Bob's city, regardless of the cost. $500 wouldn't break us, but that's a lot of money to spend on one night. I told her I don't want to change our plans at all and she thinks I'm being an a-hole about it. She said she really wants to see Viv and Ray and this is her only chance. Sorry, this is so confusing. Our plan is already complicated and I would rather just stick with it than try and change things up. It's already going to be stressful. I've already decided that I will strongly argue against trying to see both families like this in the future. It's just too much. I would say swap the plans and see your family for Thanksgiving on Thursday. If it is not too late to accommodate you, spend the night there and then see her family Friday and come home Saturday as planned, absorbing the cost of the hotel for Friday night. You get your family time in, she gets her family time in. Seems like an equitable compromise. If your wife isn't willing to forgo Thanksgiving Day with her family to see her aunt a dungle longer, then she's the a-hole here. A couple of hours on Friday with your family isn't fair. My parents have already made other plans for Thursday because they weren't expecting us. Yes, I could ask them to cancel those plans for us, but I feel like that's kind of asking a lot. Our original plan was to only see my family for Thanksgiving because we aren't seeing them for Christmas this year. My parents are flying to visit my sister and her family for Christmas, so we were going to spend Christmas with only my wife's family. But when my wife heard Viv and Ray are coming, she wanted to change our plans to see them. Yeah, honestly, then she sadly needs to sacrifice Thanksgiving. The best way, in my experience, is that whichever family gets Christmas has to give up Thanksgiving to the other. If you're doing Christmas at her parents' house, then Thanksgiving is at yours. No a-holes here though, in my opinion. At least not yet. She understandably wants to see a family member she hasn't seen in forever. But she can't blow up plans like this a week before Thanksgiving and give your parents only a few hours with their grandkids. Is there any way that Viv and Ray could come early or follow you to your parents' city? Or maybe see them at Christmas instead? Doubtful. They were already supposed to arrive on Wednesday. But that got pushed back to Thursday or possibly Friday for reasons I am not aware of. I don't know how long Viv and Ray are staying, but I would imagine they want to spend it with their family and not mine.